Hello, everyone. This is the Star Wars Last Jedi recap that we just wanted to put together quickly. Weechen Club here, and Kitetsu has joined me as well. Apologies for his voice. He's currently very ill.
I'm dying, literally.
Yeah, can you hear that? He's doing his best Ian with Damon impression. It's incredible. So
To be honest, for The Last Jedi, I would brave death to get this podcast done. So
that's
here
fair.
I am.
That's fair. So obviously, Ems has already put out her reaction to the trailer and a quick sort of breakdown of it. And I think I just kind of wanted to go a bit further into it because I've really, picked up quite a lot in this trailer, and there's quite a lot that was kind of mentioned on some of the shows. So me and Will just wanted to kind of go through it and be a bit more in depth over the whole thing. So he's put together an amazing slideshow that I'm gonna edit together before we actually put this in. It's pretty good. It is very good. And then yeah, we'll obviously go through it. So okay, so where do you want to start, Will? Do you want to go actually with how the panel first started? Because I know you didn't watch it.
No, I literally did not have time. I literally got the message from you on Facebook that the trailer had dropped, and I was straight on YouTube to watch it. But otherwise, no, I haven't seen anything else.
Okay, so there was like a little tidbit kind of dropped by Daisy Ridley that she basically, obviously, I don't know if you've watched the little videos that her and Josh Gad have been doing, but they had like a funny running thing where he'd like invade her trailer and bring loads of famous people in, and they'd all ask her questions about The Last Jedi, and she'd have to just ignore them. But Josh Gad was doing the hosting of this particular panel, and he kind of started like asking her questions again, and she was like, I can't answer, and then she kind of went, but I can tell you one thing. And it was very subtle, but what she said was the way that this film kind of starts and the way it was left off from before, obviously Rey has a lot of high expectations of Luke, and obviously people kind of read into that as much as they want.
I was going to say, I think we all have high expectations of Luke, but
yeah,
yep.
Of course. But what she said was, it's like when you meet your hero and it's not quite what you expect it to be.
Yeah, and I imagine that makes sense because obviously if the little scene that we see in the trailer is what we think it is, Luke has had his world destroyed, we assume.
Yeah.
And he has lost confidence in everything. Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm going to kind of reiterate something that one of the Collider guys said, but they basically mentioned that rather than the open-armed response that everyone was expecting, like, hey, come and train with me sort of thing, he's literally going to be like, get off my island.
Yeah, he's more like, I'm done with the Force. I don't want this. I'm not going to train anyone else because the second I train someone who isn't me, I don't trust them and things can go wrong.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much where he's getting. And obviously, we'll get into the trailer thing in a minute, but I think there's a few sort of... There's been a lot of hints in various novels and comics and sort of extended media that's kind of... They're going down a certain path with how the Jedi are going, and obviously...
That's totally your area, well because I don't know anything about the comics and extended stuff.
So, I mean, the basic thing is Ahsoka and Rebels, so we have obviously the Grey Jedi sort of idea. So you have this sort of order of Force users that don't really assign themselves to one faction or the other. They just kind of sit right in the middle.
Yep.
And they use both sides to...
So do you think this is going to come into Episode 8?
Yeah, I believe that Luke's philosophy is going to be you can't have darkness without light. So you can't have shadow unless you have a light source. And I think he's going to kind of sit there and... it's kind of thinking... The more, like, the reason this all happened in the first place was because the Jedi was so ridiculously powerful, and it cast a very large shadow, which was in the form of Darth Sidious, basically. Obviously, he undid all of that, but now just his simple being alive after or everything that happened after his father died and after Sidious died and everything, just simply him being there was enough that this whole thing just kept rolling on. Like, there had to be a yin to his yang sort of thing.
Right.
And so I think he's kind of thinking, once this is done, like once we finish with the First Order, the Jedi have to die. Like, we can't have them around anymore.
Wow, that's dramatic.
Yeah, I think that's basically where he's going with this. Whether or not that's what it happens, I mean, obviously, you got to think that potentially this is a wavelength that he's not going to follow because, like, the Jedi, like the actual name Jedi is such a seller that I doubt Disney's going to actually kill them off entirely. But I think that's where his mind is at the moment. Potentially it'll take Rey to to change that mindset. I mean, I think typical to most of the trailers that comes out with Star Wars, I think what we've seen is probably the first act, if not the first 2 acts at most. I doubt it would have gone any further than that, so I'm guessing there's going to be some sort of change of mind at some point in the film. But we don't know.
Yep.
That's
an interesting thing. I hadn't considered that myself. I was thinking more that not necessarily that he thinks that. Well, I guess obviously it's completely changed my thinking. Where you see at the end is saying that what was it? He says, "I only know one thing, and that is it's time for the Jedi to end." So obviously that fits in completely with what you're saying. I was imagining more that he's just become a little hermit on an island, and he doesn't really want anything to do with anything anymore, and he doesn't necessarily care. He's just separated himself from the world.
I think that's also true. I think in some weird way you can kind of draw this back to the old Harry Potter tale with the Elder Wand. That Dumbledore's initial sort of idea was to basically die with the wand. Like, so no one would be able to claim it. It would die with him, and nothing would be able to go any further than that. Like, the wand would be unownable because it would. Like, no one had claimed it. I kind of get a feeling that maybe Luke was doing the same thing. Like, he just set off for an island and decided to stay there until he died. Basically, I imagine it's
so he wants the Jedi to end with himself, sort of thing.
And so I do think that Rey turning up and that look on his face in The Force Awakens is literally like, oh God, they found me. So
that haunting look that he gives her.
I think it is. I mean, you could probably be able to look into a bit more now if you were to watch Force Awakens again now, but I do generally think he's just thinking, I tried so hard and it still failed.
Yeah. he basically puts himself on a secret island in a galaxy unknown, so far away, and still the Force somehow finds him.
Yeah.
No matter what he does, it's fate.
Yeah.
He can't escape it. But yeah, interesting thinking. So shall we run through the trailer and what we see?
So I've got the little, so on the first slide on here. So I really like the intro. I love that I think everyone thought it was a starscape, and it was so beautifully kind of blended into that rocky
into a rock. Yeah, that was clever.
Was so beautifully done.
You're almost expecting the Star Wars to start floating up with the previously in Star Wars or the last. I don't know, Episode 1 style. The Senate is struggling with the Trade Federation.
Yeah, like some sort of opening crawl or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also like that. I mean, a lot of people mention this. I haven't quite gone through and done this yet. I haven't had time to, but apparently this trailer follows a very similar pattern to the Force Awakens teaser that they first released. Obviously, that one started in a very similar way with a very slow camera shot and then a jump scare. Obviously, we had in that case like huge horns, and obviously Finn just kind of appeared, and everyone was kind of like, oh. And we have
the bit where he's in the desert and his head just suddenly pops up.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of got a very similar vibe. The way
definitely.
There's a lot of very quick, choppy shots, a lot of sort of black screens with people talking over them, and again, that person is Luke.
I mean, one thing I would say just on that point is it's quite reassuring, because I thought obviously J.J. Abrams is not directing the sequel, but it's got a very strangely Episode 7 vibe to it so far, which is reassuring.
Very, very Rian Johnson. I'll get obviously more into that later on as we go through, but like the beginning of trailer is very much in the same vein, but I feel like it starts to
branch out.
Ryan sort of style. I mean, obviously he done films like Looper and stuff, and you can really feel that as it goes on. Yeah,
but nothing to be alarmed about.
No, of course not. It's
nothing too radically weird like you might expect from him.
Yeah. So if we go onto the next sort of slide, I mean, obviously the main thing we say here is that Rey's obviously wearing the same costume and so on, so we can assume that this is going to be quite early on in the film. Either that or she just hasn't taken a wardrobe with her.
I was going to say she didn't pack.
She had a bag with her. I assume there's something in there.
But also, I assume, what are we looking at? She's putting her hand down on the ground.
Yeah,
I assume she's training.
Yes, I'm thinking similar to
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I'm thinking the whole, lots of laps, lots of ridiculously strenuous training that obviously Luke was also made to do in Empire. I mean, there's not as many vines on Act 2, but I'm assuming he'd find some other way of torturing her.
Yoda isn't on her back.
Yes, yes.
But otherwise, it's got a very similar sort of feel to it.
Like basically pushing her to breaking point, like trying.
Interesting that obviously a lot of the biggest criticism of the episode 7 was that it follows episode 4 a little bit too closely.
Yeah, and there are, even in this one, a few callbacks. Obviously, like the training thing, and obviously a little bit further on with the walkers, and obviously I don't know whereabouts in the film that's going to be, but I mean, if it ends up being at the beginning, then again, that's going to be quite similar to Empire. But I think the thing is, obviously, people look into this too much and obviously freak out about it, but George Lucas has said numerous times, and obviously I know he's not in charge of these anymore, but it's something he imparted onto JJ, is the idea that these stories are leitmotifs. So they have recurring themes that run through them, and they mirror each other.
Yeah.
And he felt that was very important, that the stories not so much replicate themselves, but the way in which they run is, the beats are very similar, and even if you watch the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, there are so many beats in those as well that are very, very similar.
Yeah, agreed.
And I mean, the difference being obviously is that the way George kind of put the cinematography together on the prequel trilogy was very much more towards the digital side, whereas obviously the reason Force Awakens looks so much like A New Hope is because it's all done practically. So it's
exactly,
it stands out a lot more. But in the beats of it, it is quite similar in a lot of respects.
But then I would say, obviously, and I don't need to tell you this, but to people who say that that's their main criticism, I would say that you're missing out on all of the new things that are being added that distance these films massively from the original trilogy and make them their own standalone worthwhile thing.
Yeah, I mean, while they have a lot of similarities, there are a lot of very, very different
very, very different things.
Very different scenes and very different sort of story arcs that went through Force Awakens, and I feel like this is going to go through the same route. I mean, at the end of the day, Rey isn't Luke.
No.
Luke was very much like I can't. I mean, he was very much useless, to be honest. Let's not beat around the bush. When he started, he was just a farmer.
A bit wet around the ears.
Yeah, and the difference here being that Rey is pretty well trained. Obviously, a lot of people keep calling her a Mary Sue and all this sort of stuff. But the point is that she's grown up on a rough planet without a family, which Luke had. She had no one to look after her, and so she's looked after herself, and she's very, very good at it. And
yep.
Obviously her hand-to-hand combat skills were... I mean, the point is yes, she is very good at what she does, but the seeds were sown all the way through the film, and if you want to point it out that way, then point it out that way, that's fine. But I personally feel like it was pretty much a case that she just had a very rough life until this point, and that she was putting herself through that pain because she wanted to see her family. Simple as that.
Yep.
And it took someone like Matt Kanata to say to her, it's not going to happen. Like, you need to move on. You've been here for pretty much all of your life so far, and it's whoever it is that you're waiting for.
They're not going to come.
They're either not coming back or they're dead. Like, that's basically the point. So you probably just
Yep.
need to get on with it.
Although I am one of those people who is kind of pulled in by the mystery of who her parents are, so I really want to know. I remember we've had conversations about this, and I said that I was really hoping that she was some sort of granddaughter or something of Obi-Wan. You obviously know more about Rebels and all of that stuff, and you think it's not going to happen. I wish it would.
It would be nice. There was the whole Satine storyline with in Clone Wars, where obviously
Clone Wars. Yeah.
We found out that Obi-Wan had a love interest, and obviously that's all, spoiler alert, that's all kind of wrecked by Darth Maul. But the point is that they didn't really go into much depth as to sort of when this started or anything. But the point is they never mentioned a daughter at that point, or any kids at all, to be honest, at that point. And obviously she is killed in Clone Wars. So the timelines don't match up, unless there was a very secretive child that I doubt Satine would have hidden, because she was kind of in contact with Obi-Wan, like they were quite close. I doubt she would have hidden that kind of thing away. So,
but it would have been nice.
Yeah, so I mean, unless that's the case, I mean, I'm not saying they won't go down that way, but I just feel like it would be a bit of a break for her character. But I mean,
who do you think her parents are more likely to be then?
I don't know. I don't actually know whether it is that important in some respects. And the reason I say that is just because the cast and the crew and everyone kind of makes a joke out of it a lot. I mean, Mark Hamill loves it. I mean, at the panel again today, he was going through all the characters, and like he said to Josh Gad, like, "Oh, I only see you as Olaf," and like Kathleen Kennedy, "I only see you as Wonder Woman," and he turned to Ray and said, "And I see you as my daughter. Sorry, I mean as Ray." And obviously everyone kind of started laughing, but it's the way they kind of play it now. I kind of feel like they didn't realise it was going to be that big of a deal, and I think because it ended up being quite a huge deal for the fans. Like obviously J.J. Abrams loves teasing. Like I mean, look at all the stuff he's done previously. Like most of his films are based off that factor, and I think he just found a really nice way of drawing people in. And I don't want to say we're going to be disappointed. I mean, maybe they will put something in the pipeline, but I don't know if when The Force Awakens was made, that was an important plot point. I feel like maybe they might write around it now. But
I think it might be because they're following similar story beats to the original trilogy, and obviously one of the biggest beats of the original trilogy was finding out that Luke is in fact the son of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So I think that's where this fan response has come from, and it probably for me too.
That reveal, in some respects, was saved for Kylo Ren, and I actually feel like I don't know whether there was any different iterations to it, but I felt like a little, like, not I want to say underwhelmed because obviously it is what it is, but the way they played it in the film kind of felt like they were trying as hard as possible to not make it the "I'm your father" moment between him and Han. Like they tried their best. I mean, literally, Snoke just outrightly says, "Your father's Han Solo," and everyone kind of goes, "Oh, okay," and that's literally it. That's all you get. It's pretty much as upfront as it could be.
I like the way they handled that.
Yeah, they made it as upfront as possible, and so they tried to sort of usher it away from people going, "Oh, they've just done the father thing again." But because they went into so much effort to do that, it makes me feel like even if Rey was an important character in that respect, it would be done differently. The way I kind of look at it, and a lot of people kind of talk about this, and I kind of feel it's maybe the way that she ends up sort of changing Luke's mind, is the idea that she is just this sort of just another embodiment of the Force in the same way that Anakin was. But whereas Anakin was born out of pure evil, because obviously the speculation is that he was put together by Plagueis and Sidious in one of their weird rituals. Whereas he was put together by pure evil, a lot of people... Well, the speculation is that she was kind of put together by the Force to counteract what's going on currently. So,
to be honest, that makes a lot of sense with what you were saying about Luke trying to escape it all. Yeah. He's trying to hide. He's trying to ignore the destiny. He's ignoring the balance, and then the Force is just saying, "No, we're going to balance this out anyway." Yeah. Here's another embodiment of the Force who can carry that on.
They're going to bring in the aspect of Grey Jedi, which is fine. And I mean, they're definitely going to touch on that in some way or another. But George Lucas's general sort of view on this was that when they said about balance in the Force, obviously everyone had this idea of it being like good and evil, and obviously 2 Jedi and 2 Sith. And while that, on the face of it, sounds right, what George Lucas was saying was that balance is basically a case of it's just good. Like it's just the balance in the Force is that the tails haven't been skipped. Haven't been tipped. It's good and good on both sides of the scales. They are balanced in that respect, and it's when you put something else on the other scale that things get out of balance. So you could say that literally they're just saying like, well, this person is going to be the purest of the Jedi, sort of thing. Like she's going to be pure light, and this is what we want to carry on. The legacy of the Jedi, and it's her job to kind of convince Luke that this is the case.
I think what you're discussing now also leads into something really interesting that I haven't heard many people discuss yet. I mean, I haven't watched many discussion videos, but the title of the film is The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Is that a person or is it plural?
Yeah, exactly. Are they referring to... Yeah, in fact, I didn't even think of that. I was thinking singular. So I was thinking, like, are they saying that Luke is the last Jedi?
Well,
because I guess technically Rey isn't a Jedi until she's trained.
The reason have you seen the poster?
Yes.
Was put out. I kind of feel like that's basically the point of that line. I kind of feel that's it. I mean, Yoda says it in the Return of the Jedi when he turns around to Luke and says, "The last of the Jedi you will be." But he's saying that as a plural, so in the last of the Jedi Order, because it can be singular and plural. There's no change in that, and I just feel like it's literally saying these are the last Jedi, like the last 3 people that'll be Force users.
Interesting. Because I was thinking it was singular. I never thought that it could be plural, and I was thinking singular, and then I was thinking, is that some sort of hint that one of them, Luke's going to die and Rey's going to become the Last Jedi?
Potentially, but then it would just keep rolling though. Surely, if that was the case, I do feel like, obviously, just if they're just going to take a tidbit out of the film, which is what they do with Star Wars. I mean, obviously, Star Wars is built out of the whole sort of serials that they used to do in on the Saturday morning, sort of serials used to do in America, like Flash Gordon and stuff. And a lot of the titles for those serials would be quite sort of in your face. And I mean, if you look at all the titles, you've got like Attack of the Clones, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. They're all quite like bam in your face. This is what the plot's going to be. Like, that's it. And I do feel like with this one, it's not a subtle look that everyone wants. Everyone looks a lot really quite deep into the titles of some of these things, but literally the case is, like, I think that it's all about the fact that Luke wants to dismantle the Jedi Order, and it's as simple as that. And whether or not that happens, obviously we don't know yet. But again, as I said, I don't feel like Disney will be going ahead and say, like, yes, let's do away with it. We don't need the Jedi Order. It's fine. Like, we've made enough money.
Yeah.
I really doubt that'll happen. Plus, we have another film, and if you were to dismantle the Jedi Order in this film, then what happens in the next one? Like, do you know what I mean? Do they just walk off into sunset and say, right, you guys deal with it now? Like, no more lightsabers. We're all done here.
But I guess having the Force and having a lightsaber doesn't necessarily make you a Jedi.
No, I mean, they've kind of made that a big deal as well now, though, haven't they? When we had Maz Kanata, we had
exactly
Chirrut as well.
So I guess that Luke effectively could die with this film, and then Rey is the start of something new that isn't necessarily the Jedi Order.
Yeah,
maybe.
Like,
who knows?
Go down the grey Jedi route.
The grey Jedi route, exactly. Right, so I'm thinking we've got like about a maximum of 10 minutes more for this podcast. So
let's just jump through. So we'll go.
So we've had Luke saying breathe, just breathe, and we're zooming in over the island.
Over the island, back to Act 2 again. I mean, there's not really much here in this particular scene, I don't think.
I wonder how much of the film will be set on the island, because I'm hoping it won't be like a 2-minute thing.
I doubt it will, to be honest. I actually think it's going to be quite a lot.
I think the more Luke and Rey, to me, the better the film's going to be.
I feel very much like this, that Luke and Rey won't actually play a part in the sort of grand scheme of things until the last act.
That would be cool. So they're almost just out of the picture.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation that they literally will kind of turn up and save the day almost.
I did hear a rumour that, obviously, based on this trailer, doesn't seem to be true, that at the end of The Force Awakens, Rey has actually been followed by the First Order. Exactly.
Yeah, that speculation was born out of some set photos of a group of people stood on the set of Skellig Michael. I mean, it could still happen, though. I mean, the storyline they put into it, obviously, potentially not, but they could still be attacked there. There's no reason why not. I mean, it may just be the
as in preceding her training, or maybe towards the end of her training.
The end of it. I mean, the way Rian Johnson meant when he was in the panel, he said that obviously Starkiller Base being destroyed is a major setback for the First Order, but in the process of doing that, they did destroy the entire Republic. So the Senate, everything is gone. So even though it's a major setback, they still have a very large fleet. And the reason he said that the film is basically starting immediately afterwards is because the First Order is pressing their attack immediately after, because they know they're on even though they're in some respects on the back foot, they know they're still at an advantage of some sort. So I don't think they're going to be trifling with Luke and Rey quite yet. I think that they're going to be establishing that they're in charge of the galaxy first, and then they'll go after them.
Yep, possibly.
I mean,
I imagine
see images later in the trailer of their base being attacked. So there's every chance that they find the same map that Rey used to get to Luke. And Kylo uses that to get there. I mean, there's no reason why that wouldn't happen.
That's a cool idea. So basically later on, as in they're not immediately followed, the base gets attacked, Kylo finds the same map and then follows her that way. I imagine if I was...
Hello.
Apparently I'm shouting.
Oh, okay.
I imagine if I was Kylo Ren based on the last film, I wouldn't be in a rush to track down Rey
No, I
and
mean,
an even more skilled Jedi based on the humiliating defeat.
yeah, I also don't really know if he's going to be in any fit state to do so. I mean, he did have his face sliced. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
So yeah, I don't think he's going to be in a hugely good place to do
No.
that. But yeah.
Right, so carrying on with the trailer,
moving
you've
on,
got...
obviously we get. I mean, a lot of this stuff is very much just really nice cinematography. Whether or not this stuff's going to appear in the film is another matter, because obviously these kind of shots tend to be specifically for trailers, like the shot of Rey looking out over the sea and stuff.
Out
like
over
that.
the sea.
It could be there, but the one shot that I think will be is the incredible shot, which I call the Man of Steel shot, with the rocks kind of
Lifting
rising
up
around her fingers, which is just an amazing shot.
Do you think this was another mini nod to The Empire Strikes Back with using the Force to...
I think to some extent,
lift
yes.
rocks?
But I feel like for some weird reason, like even though obviously, the way the other films have done things, the Jedi and the Sith powers have been quite sort of focused and very like, so it's like pick up that rock, do this and do that sort of thing. There's something about Rey that seems a lot more sort of natural and almost spiritual about it. Like she seems to just be able to do things without thinking, which is again going down the sort of chosen route. But this particular shot, there's no, like, she's not focusing on any of these rocks, they're all just rising up around her. There's something really quite beautiful about it in a way, and that's why I call it the Man of Steel sort of shot, because it does remind me a lot of the whole, like, just infinitely powerful and she's just getting her head around it sort of thing.
Yep.
Like I can really see her being insanely powerful, like if not in this film then definitely in the next one.
I think that's where things are heading, definitely.
I just get that feeling from this one shot. It's just so subtle but so beautifully done. It just obviously draws your attention to various things that could obviously from other films and stuff that just kind of make you feel like it's a really big deal. But yeah, it's a really lovely shot.
Right, so
then obviously moving. So Luke's obviously saying reach out, and she's in a very similar way to obviously as Yoda did to him. He's sort of feeling into the future, into the past.
Yep. And he says, "What do you see?"
And we get our first look at Carrie Fisher. So obviously Princess Leia looking over. Well, I don't know what kind of star chart this is. I don't know if this is potentially the same map that they used to find Luke. I'm not sure.
How do we know this is Carrie Fisher?
Because this is the same hairstyle that she is sporting in a lot of the set photos for it.
Got it.
Yeah. And obviously the fact that it's her voice that we hear as well.
Yeah, help me, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I was watching Ember's video, she thought he was saying, I'm not sure what she thought he was saying, but I was sitting there thinking, I'm sure it's help me, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I didn't finish watching her video. Maybe she said later on.
No, I don't think she did. I messaged her and said it's Princess Leia, because I don't think she thought it was someone saying something else. And I wasn't
like Leon or something?
Yeah, something like that. It really threw me.
I was like, I'm pretty sure it's help me, Obi-Wan.
Looking at this set, so we got Akbar in the background on the left over her shoulder.
Yep.
The set reminds me of the Home One set in Return of the Jedi, when Mon Mothma's giving her speech about the Death Star, and
yes.
like it's very clinical, very clean, a lot more than a lot of the other ships. It's very much a Mon Calamari ship. You can tell.
Yeah.
Like again,
exactly.
like Admiral Raddus's ship in Rogue One. It's very, very like it's just very Mon Calamari. It's basically that. I imagine it'll be some sort of huge vessel, probably another version of Home One if it's not Home One itself. But yeah, I mean, these scenes go by quite quickly, so I don't think they're really meant to give much away.
No,
but
because we've got with 3 minutes, so
yeah,
we've got a flash of Kylo Ren's
and
mask
obviously we have
melted.
Vader's breathing. Obi-Wan saying he was seduced by the dark side from A New Hope.
Yep. What is the next scene? What is that showing? Because I don't know what that is.
It's a pile of books on a shelf. But what's really weird is, and obviously you don't watch Rebels, so you're not going to really get any of these references, but there's a thing in Rebels called the Bendu, which is a giant creature on a planet that is basically the embodiment of light and dark in terms of the Force.
Right.
They're like the originators of like the sort of grey Jedi sort of thing, and they don't take sides, and they're very much. He reminds me a lot of the Ents in Lord of the Rings. Like very much just
Okay.
like I'm not getting involved. Like I'll just tell you what's going on, but that's it. But the sort of effect going on around the sort of weird tree effect and stuff that's going on there, like the sort of where everything's kind of coming out from the center and it looks very sort of like mangled. That is very reminiscent of his design. That's basically what he looks like when he's stationary. He just looks like a tree, and
Right.
then when he starts moving, you realize he's just this giant creature. But as soon as I saw that, I just thought Bendu. Like, I mean, obviously, the more I see it, it's not clearly not that at all. But there's just something about it. Just kind of went, oh,
Puts that in your head.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know
Exactly.
whether that was intentional. And obviously, the books themselves. Obviously, Ray's reading one in the next scene. But
Yeah. I was
have,
going to ask you what that is, but now obviously it makes sense. It's
I,
the cover of a book.
yes, and I have the strange feeling that it's going to be to do with a comic that's currently going out at the moment, which is Luke's comic, and they're currently doing a run where it's all about Yoda and stuff that he did when he was younger, and it's written from the point of view of Obi-Wan. So there's stories that Yoda's clearly taught to him when he was in his solitude on Tatooine, and
Uh-huh.
Obi-Wan's written this book, and he hasn't mentioned the name Yoda at all, which is why obviously Luke is so doesn't know who he is. He's just this little green Jedi that he writes about, and he tells him all his stories and stuff, and he gives the book to Luke to read when he's on Tatooine, like with his aunt and uncle. And obviously we see it through Luke's eyes, sort of thing, of him reading the book. I'm wondering whether these sort of are going to be collections of that, whether there's stuff he's taken from Yoda's place as well, obviously after he died.
Yep.
Just stuff he's collected over the years. I mean, obviously in the next scene, again, obviously we hear Yoda in this one as well, saying that the Force surrounds you and binds us and all that sort of stuff as well from Force
Yep.
Awakens. The next scene, we see the Jedi logo, so the old Republic Jedi logo.
I was wondering if this is basically stuff that's all that's left of Luke's temple, basically.
Yeah, I think it is. I think these are works that he collected.
Yeah.
And these are all that's left, and yeah, and this is the Jedi logo, which I'm really happy to finally see in a film. It's quite a nice little touch there.
Yep.
But yeah, and obviously this is where Rey says that she senses. Obviously, she says she senses lightness, light. She senses darkness, and she senses a balance. And in the next
Yep.
scene, which is a beautiful shot of the panning shot around of her training with the lightsaber, and Luke saying,
Probably one of my favourite bits of the trailer.
yeah, and it's
really cool.
It's so much bigger. Like,
Exactly.
There's so much more to it than that, which is what makes me feel again like
The grey
he's
thing.
really playing the old man with this one. So she's kind of like, I can sense this, I can sense that, and he's like, you don't know anything.
You're not wise enough
Yeah,
to know
you don't have
the
a clue.
balance. Yeah.
And then things kick off a bit more. So this is where things get quite a bit more interesting.
Yeah, the trailer really goes into
ramps up a bit.
hyperdrive. Yeah.
So,
So we've got ships flying across a desert-like planet.
I was slightly confused by this shot originally because I thought they were letting off smoke trails, but it's quite clearly they're kicking up the sand, which seems
Yeah.
to turn red when they kick it up, which is very strange. Don't know what the purpose of that is. I don't know whether it's like a smoke screen or something. I'm not really sure. But I've never really seen their ships before. But this is the point where it starts to become more Ryan Johnson, because the design of the ships and that are very different to anything we've seen in Star Wars before.
Yeah.
Like they feel so much more
Almost a little
fluid.
bit District 9
Yeah,
kind
there's
of.
something slightly drony about them, isn't there? Like I don't know whether
Exactly.
they actually have. I mean, the shots aren't that great, but I don't know whether there's actually pilots in them. To be honest, I mean,
They
that one
almost look like they kind of strangely, although they look nothing like them, somehow they remind me of pod racers.
yes,
I don't know why.
yeah, a few people have said that. To be honest, not the only one who said that.
Okay.
And yeah, there's something like they kind of feel like obviously you see that shot where it kind of hits the ground and sort of bumbles its way back up again. There's something slightly droidy about them. I don't know if there is actually anyone piloting them.
Yeah, I almost thought that was crashing at that point.
Yeah, but it's also like its own personality in a way. And obviously in the distance we see the AT-ATs. I don't know. Obviously there was a shot in The Force Awakens where you see walkers in the background, and they're like very stocky, staunch, lower down AT-ATs. And judging
Yep.
by the distant photo of this, they look a lot more blocky, a lot more hunched over. So I'm wondering whether that's the new walkers that they're going to be using. Because apparently they're like the Force, the First Order have made them less susceptible to like the tow cable. They're a lot more. They're sort of their central gravity is a lot lower to the ground and stuff like that. So,
Upgraded.
yeah, basically. But I don't know
Revised.
whether they're going to be called AT-ATs or whether they'll give them another name. Then obviously the next shot is Finn, so he's still recovering from being absolutely battered by Kylo Ren.
Yeah, and I must admit, I'm like intrigued to see where his character's going to go, because his character was a bit of a red herring in The Force Awakens.
Very much, yeah. I mean, they very much put him front and center, and obviously had Rey come up and sort of steal his thunder a little bit.
Exactly. Now everyone's all about Rey.
Yes, exactly. But I kind of know that he gets better, because there's been set shots of him on like the bridge of a Star Destroyer and stuff in sort of where he's clearly I don't know, it kind of looks like he's in disguise, or like maybe infiltrating the Star Destroyers, I don't know, with the new character Rose that they introduced on the panel as well, like they're both there, so he gets better. I just don't know when that's going to happen, obviously. And then
we don't know where his character's going to go, though. We don't know what role he's going to play.
Yeah.
And then obviously we've got the attack on the base, which we've kind of mentioned.
Yeah, which looks very much like the same base that Princess Leia is on. So it looks like, I don't know if it's a base or it's again like a cruiser of some sort.
It does look a little bit like the New Hope or End of Rogue One ship a little bit, doesn't it? With the white corridors and. Yeah,
I think it's going to be the home one, because the hangar bay looks very similar to the hangar bay that the Falcon that are all sat in before they all set up for the Return of the Jedi fight.
And then basically, go on.
X-wing gets battered again. So
or is that an explosion behind it? The
full shot, kind of the explosion just keeps moving forward and eventually envelops the X-wing.
Right.
So I think it is gone. So he needs to take out some serious insurance, because he can't seem to keep his X-wings going for more than a film at the moment.
No, and he's spending quite a lot on the paint job. So
yeah. Then we have the sort of hero shot of the Falcon. Just
Falcon flies in,
just swatting TIE fighters like the
TIE fighters.
In there. Yeah.
Yep.
Question now, obviously, is who's flying it, because I don't know whether or not Chewie's waiting around for Rey. I don't know whether they've gone off back to Leia.
Maybe Finn by this point.
Potentially,
who knows?
I'm not really sure. It's kind of a question that needs to be answered, I suppose. But yeah, I'm intrigued to know who's flying it. I mean, it's just obviously a cloud base, but you could easily say that could be Act 2. I don't know. It looks very similar to the sort of shots of the weather they gave there, but without seeing anything. And they've been very clever to hide the sort of where they are, obviously, the sort of ground. But yeah, so obviously we get the hero shot of the Falcon. Then we get
the next two slides are pretty cool.
Yeah, so we get a really cool shot of Rey, either in the middle of training or getting really angry with someone and running at them at full power.
I imagine that in this scene you might see Kylo versus Rey round 2 in a kind of Empire Strikes Back thing. She's been trained and now she's confident and she's unleashed. But I almost imagine that story beats will be similar and she might actually lose. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it would sort of play up to it, wouldn't it? But then I suppose in some respects, like obviously we're ultimately going towards the fact that her and Kylo are probably going to end up having a massive battle in the last of the trilogy. So to be honest, I actually think that the main fight in this one is not going to be Kylo and Rey. I think it'll be Kylo and Luke.
That could be cool, and I think they really need to build up Kylo, because and he doesn't seem very intimidating yet.
He's been quite cagey on it, and I don't know what's going to happen. But there's some part of me that still feels like Luke isn't getting out of this one alive.
No, I don't think he will either.
Die at the hands of Kylo Ren, and that it will play out in a similar beat to Ben dying.
Which is why I know you said obviously people thinking into it too much, but I think Luke is the last Jedi, singular. And I think he'll die in this film.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like to sort of serve his storyline that he will die. And the point is obviously people were saying, but he signed off for episode 9. Well, of course he is. I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi was in every single one in the original trilogy, but he only appeared in person in the first one.
Yeah, he was a ghost.
Yeah, there's nothing saying that he won't be in the others as a Force ghost. So, yeah, I do generally feel like he will end up being off in this one. I feel like it's probably the right place to do it, to be honest.
Yep. And then to wrap things up, we've got
the last few shots. So
we
have
assume the temple burning down, which is probably a flashback.
yeah. Oh, so we do. Oh, before that, we do have the awesome shot of Kylo Ren as well,
Yep.
proving that he has his lightsaber back, but no mask. So I don't know if they're changing that or if he's going to go without it from now on.
Although we did see the shot of his mask melting
being destroyed.
earlier,
So yeah,
maybe
we're not
he's
sure where they're going with that. And
Yep.
yeah, the sort of the main shot for me, which is very much sort of brushed over, is the shot, as you said, of the temple burning. So this is the reverse shot from Force Awakens.
Yep.
That obviously
From the
was sort of-
flashback.
Yes, obviously it was a very big deal in Force Awakens. We see Luke putting his hand on R2's head, clearly not happy about something. And from this point of view now, we realise exactly what it is. It's obviously the moment that Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren
Betrayed him.
everything. Yep. Yeah.
Exactly.
We finally get to see all of that, and obviously we get to see how much it really affects him.
The next shot, however, I assume that is Kylo arriving with the First Order, or is that Captain Phasma?
That's Phasma and the First Order, and I'm not sure where they are.
Exactly, because it kind of misleads you to think that they're arriving at the temple, but
Yeah, I think
I have no idea.
It looks very much like a First Order corridor, because you've got that slanted wall to the left.
Yep. Oh, yes.
So there's something about that kind of makes you feel like it may be on one of their own starships. But you never know, to be honest. It could be anything. It's very vague.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just a
the
lot of
fact
fire.
they showed it after the temple made me think maybe that was at the temple, but who knows?
Potentially, but I don't know, because it was definitely, as recalled, it was the Knights of Ren that took it out, and I think that's kind of where they're going to go with that. And I do feel like this may be the first time we'll see the Knights of Ren attacking the temple.
Yep.
Actually, in their entirety, we'll actually get that particular piece of footage that everyone wants to see.
We do need to see more of the Knights of Ren, and apparently also we're going to see more of Captain Phasma as an actual character.
So they've basically not so much sort of apologised, but they've kind of said, like, we know we underused her, but we weren't really sure what could be done. There was a lot of characters that had to be dealt with, and I think they were playing the long game with her. But obviously, it was a Star Wars film, and the first that had come out for a while, so they kind of felt like she'd been shortchanged.
Yeah.
I do feel that they're playing the long game with her, so I'm intrigued to see where they'll go with her.
Yep, same.
And then second to last shot is this incredible space battle. There is a lot going on in this, really.
A lot. Yeah.
These new starships look pretty awesome. They kind of remind me of the old Nebulon B frigates.
They look so cool.
Yeah, and there's seems to be just a lot of them. It just seems to be what their entire fleet is made of, which is, I'm not sure. Maybe that's just the shot itself, but it just looks like they just have a whole fleet of these. They're clearly defending a planet of some sort. We don't know what against. There's rumours that there's going to be a new superstar destroyer in there, which was hinted at in one of the books that came out recently. That the Emperor's flagship, called the Eclipse, is actually in the hands of the First Order.
Wow.
It was basically sort of charted off to unknown regions in a sort of like a backup plan, basically, if the Emperor was ever to die.
What is Kylo's ship called?
Oh,
You know the one I mean.
I want to say Resurgence, but I think it's Resurgence. I don't think it has a specific name. It's just called the Resurgence class, I think. I don't think the ship has a name, though, but I might be wrong. If anyone knows, tell me in the comments, because I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, like, so there's a few returns in here. So we have the A-Wing is in here, which you see actually beforehand, because it's actually parked up next to Poe's X-Wing as well. There's an A-Wing there. But yeah, so we've got the return of the A-Wing, so that's definitely coming back. Obviously we've got the X-Wings in there. We've got the TIE Fighters, of which there's apparently going to be a few new variants, but I haven't seen any in this particular shot.
I wonder if basically this is just wild speculation, but I wonder if Rey and Kylo are going to have this mini clash towards the end of the film, and that won't go so well, and the fleet basically come in and break things apart and retreat.
I'm still because a lot of the stuff that was filmed a lot of it was taking place in Croatia, in Dubrovnik, a set that looks very similar to Naboo.
Okay.
And there are now certain aspects of the trailer that are making me feel like it's going down this route. So this planet is, obviously the picture we have here is just obviously one shot of it, but if you look very closely, it's definitely a Earth-like planet, which is obviously what Naboo's
Yeah.
like. There's a lot more land mass than Act 2, and
Yep.
it just looks a very lush planet. So that's making me think of Naboo, and also the temple itself has a
Yep.
very Asian look to it, like very sort
Yeah,
of
I noticed that.
Turkish
Definitely.
sort of look. And that's a lot of where the inspiration for Naboo came from. So I'm wondering whether this is all going to marry up somehow. Whether maybe Luke goes back there to be like on the home planet of his mother, perhaps. Seeing as he didn't find any sort of respite with his dad, maybe that's where he decides to set up his temple. Like,
Yep.
I could maybe buy that. I mean, because my initial reaction would be that that's someone like Alderaan, because obviously the way it looks, but we know that's not around anymore. So the only other place to go is Naboo.
Yes, that is an interesting thought, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
And obviously then we get to the last line of the film, of the trailer, which is a very big line, which is it's time for the Jedi to end.
Yeah, and I think we've kind of
speculated on that now, haven't we?
discussed a lot about the implications of it.
Yeah.
But
So-
yeah, this has probably been long enough for a podcast. I mean, we've
I was saying
probably
20 minutes, and we've like doubled it. So yeah.
we've doubled it, and we've probably barely scratched the surface of what I'm sure you and I will go on to discuss after this.
Yeah, of course.
But-
But obviously not to bore everyone else to death. I think that's where we'll leave it. So
Yep.
and yeah. But yeah, if anyone has any sort of speculations or theory, then obviously please let us know in the comments.
Yes, please do.
I'm intrigued to know what everyone else thinks, to be honest, because it's a very vague teaser, and it is just a teaser. I will reiterate that. A lot of people are saying about how they're underwhelmed by it, and it was never meant to be a story
People
trailer.
were underwhelmed by this
Yeah,
this
there was
teaser trailer.
There are a lot of comments that I'm seeing about people saying that they thought they expected more, and it's a teaser trailer.
It's
I
the
don't know.
first reveal.
Yeah, I mean, the first Force Awakens trailer was very, very simple. I mean, at the end of the day, Ryan Johnson said that they haven't finished post-production. So
Yeah.
what you're looking at now, A, is probably not actually finished for a start, and B, they're probably just literally shots. They were like, okay, what can we get together in the quickest time that will give a really good sort of like blast, a really good effect, but we won't have to spend too long on, so that we can just get on with the rest of the film.
Yeah, I mean, when you think it's a 2-minute trailer, but when you do what we've done and take it frame by frame, there's a lot here.
And also, I mean, just that bit of space battle at the end. Like, I mean, that is clearly entirely CGI. That is literally days, if not weeks, of work for those, like, few seconds that you see of those fighters flying around. All the explosions, the insanity that's happening there. I mean, it's probably a few days just to render it after they put it all together.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah.
I'd love to know what computers they're running.
Yeah, exactly. But to know that people are complaining that it's not enough footage when they're still in post-production with this stuff, and someone's actually painstakingly sat down and put that particular bit of footage together so that you can see it now rather than waiting a few months. Like,
Exactly.
How entitled are people? Like,
I know.
it's scary. Anyway,
Me personally, I was not underwhelmed in the slightest.
No,
I think there is a lot here. There's probably, in all honesty, more here than I thought they were going to show us.
Yeah,
So
I think we picked out a lot of the stuff that was missed in the actual panel, because obviously the speakers, as good as they were, wouldn't get across the whispering and all that sort of stuff. So we were able to pick up a lot more of that side of things. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, it gave me what I needed from this, and that was goosebumps. I got goosebumps from it. The music, I haven't really mentioned that, but the music in it's fantastic.
I was going to say that was
Obviously,
really
it's
spot
not
on.
going to be it's not going to be Johnny, because they never do. The trailer soundtrack was put together by someone else, but whoever put it together done a really good job of merging all of the themes together, and it was epic. It was fantastic.
It was very good.
Um,
Cool.
and
So,
so thanks everyone for watching.
yep, thanks for watching. I'm very excited. I know you are as well. And
Yes.
obviously, next time there's some sort of reveal or the second trailer, we will do a follow-up.
Yeah.
And we
This is
will
not
try and
something-
pick out
It's not
anything
something we
new.
usually do, so we'll probably save it for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Although tomorrow, I mean, maybe potentially yourself will be doing a quick thing for Battlefront. So, but then again,
Yep.
it's a game, so that's fine.
I'll probably leave that to you two because I'll be quite busy tomorrow. But
That's fine.
yep. But cool. This was good fun. I
Okay.
enjoyed doing this, and I'm glad that we've done something on this.
Yes.
I don't know when the actual video itself will be ready, But just to have done this on the day that the trailer came out is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And worthy of doing.
Yes.
But cool.
Okay,
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. As usual, thumbs down if you didn't. But please tell us why. We obviously like to know how we can improve things. And obviously, please do subscribe to both of our channels because we'd really appreciate it. And otherwise, we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Bye.
See ya. Bye.